Behind this piece of paper is 200 years of central bank planning, manipulation, and a 95% decrease in its overall worth. I'm going to break down the difference between money that took 200 years to create and money that can be held in something as simple as this, that took just 2 years to create, and everything in between. But first, we're going to start with money that took 2,000 years to create, gold. Stick around until the end of this video because we're going to be comparing all forms of money and explain why the simplest money solves all the problems. Fix the money, fix the world, as they say. For thousands of years, gold has been the ultimate symbol of wealth. From ancient Egypt to the Roman Empire to medieval Europe, gold wasn't just a shiny metal, it was money. Why? Because gold is scarce, durable, and universally recognized. You can't just print more gold. You have to dig it out of the earth, and that requires work, energy, and time. This is what economists called a proof of work system long before Bitcoin. Gold was actually a really solid form of money back in the day. It was used in coins and it was widely recognized as money across the world. Gold solved a major human problem. How do you store value over time? Unlike livestock, crops, or seashells, gold doesn't rot, decay, or corrode. That's why empires trusted it. The Byzantine Empire lasted 1,000 years with gold coins as its foundations. But gold had its flaws. While it's great at holding value, it's terrible at moving value. Imagine paying your coffee with just gold dust or shipping a few tons of it across oceans in the 1500s. Gold was hard money, but it wasn't convenient money. And on top of it all, in history, there's multiple instances of people who tried to counterfeit gold. In ancient Rome, gold coins were the backbone of the empire's economy. But as the Rome's debts piled up, emperors started debasing their coins, mixing in cheaper metals like copper and silver while keeping gold's stamp of approval. Citizens quickly caught on. Price skyrocketed, trust in money collapsed, and it became one of the many cracks that contributed to Rome's downfall. In a way, it was the first large-scale counterfeit gold operation run by the government itself. Now, you may think, well, this is ancient times. We have advanced technology, so there's no way we could fake gold today, right? Wrong. Just about 5 years ago, the world's largest bank, a $4 trillion giant, JP Morgan, got fooled by counterfeit gold. And the wild part is that JP Morgan doesn't even know how much they got duped for and who did it. But hey, your bank is safe, right? But even with its flaws, gold is durable, fungible, scarce, and now has a track record. But gold is not easily divisible or portable, and it's very difficult to verify, as Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan can attest to. So in order to avoid this, societies created a workaround: paper claims backed by gold. These claims eventually became what we know as today as banknotes, which leads us into the 200-year story of the US dollar. But before I jump into the creation of the US dollar, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and that like button if you're enjoying this content. Now, when the US dollar was created, it wasn't paper money in the way we think of it today. It was backed by gold and silver. A dollar was a promise, a claim on a fixed amount of precious metal. But something happened over time, and that promise was broken. And this piece of paper, well, let's just say the value tanked. To put it in perspective, this $20 bill in the 1940s could purchase groceries for a family of 4, including meat, go to the movies every night for 2 months, or even pay rent for 2 weeks in New York City. So let's get into what went wrong. In 1913, the Federal Reserve was created, the beginning of America's experiment with central banking. Then, in 1933, President Roosevelt made it illegal for Americans to own gold. Instead of holding the real thing, citizens were forced to use these paper dollars. And then, in 1971, it all tanked. President Nixon cut the last link between dollar and gold. From that moment on, the US dollar was no longer backed by anything. It became what we call fiat money by government decree. And this was a major turning point in history. The dollar was no longer tied to scarce resources like gold. It was now tied to politics, policy, and printing presses. And what's happened since then? Well, this dollar has lost over 95% 90% of its purchasing power. What you could buy for $1 in 1913 now costs $25. And the crazy part is that the majority of money is not physical. 92% of all money in circulation is now just number on the screen. It's not physical, with just about 7 to 8% of total money in circulation actually being physical. It's as easy as pushing a button to put more money in circulation. Jerome Powell and members of the Federal Reserve have the power to change that supply whenever they see fit. And as Kanye West once said, no one man should have all that power. The system has become one of constant manipulation, interest rate changes, quantitative easing, and never-ending government debt. And yet the US dollar is still the most powerful currency on earth. Why? Because it's enforced by the US government, the largest military, and the global financial system. The dollar's strength doesn't come from scarcity. It comes from trust, or at least the illusion of it. But as history has shown, trust in fiat currencies eventually fades. Every single one throughout history has eventually collapsed. And this is where Bitcoin enters the story. Because while the dollar has taken 200 years to evolve into what it is today, Bitcoin only 2 years to be created. In 2008, during the global financial crisis, an anonymous figure or group named Satoshi Nakamoto released a white paper called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. This idea stemmed out of necessity. Humans needed better money. In 2008, the money printer turned on and seemingly never stopped. Inflation was coming. So the hardest money ever created was born because of digital scarcity. 2 years later, in 2010, the first Bitcoin transaction for real goods took place. 10,000 Bitcoin for just 2 pizzas. That moment marked the birth of a new kind of money. Bitcoin took the best properties of gold, scarcity, durability, decentralization, and combined them with the best properties of the digital age: instant transfer, global reach, and programmability. Unlike dollars, Bitcoin is not controlled by any government or central bank. Unlike gold, you don't need trucks, ships, or armored vaults to move it. You just need an internet connection and a private key. Here's the key difference. Bitcoin is digital scarcity. There will only ever be 21 million coins. That's it. No politician, no banker, no CEO can ever change that rule. Currently, Bitcoin in certain areas of the world is used as a medium of exchange, and in others, it's looked at more as pristine collateral. Either way, selling your Bitcoin for depreciating fiat always feels like a bad idea, although in some cases it may be necessary. So what's the solution to unlock your purchasing power? Salt is the best place to use your Bitcoin as collateral to get access to your purchasing power. Salt does not rehypothecate your Bitcoin, so you do not have to worry about something like FTX or BlockFi blowing up and losing your Bitcoin. There's no credit checks, just an easy to use platform, and best of all, they're giving Green Candle listeners an exclusive deal over at saltlending.com/green-candle. So head on over and unlock your purchasing power today. Now, think about this. It took humanity 2,000 years to refine gold into the foundation of money, 200 years for the US dollar to rise and dominate the world economy. But Bitcoin, an entirely new system of money, was created in just 2 years. And today, it's growing faster than both gold and the dollar did in its early days. Entire countries are now adopting it. Institutional investors are pouring billions of dollars into it, and every 10 minutes, new Bitcoin is mined, secured by the most powerful computer network on the planet. Bitcoin isn't just another form of money, it's the next chapter in the evolution of money. So let's take a step back and look at the timeline. Gold took 2,000 years to create as the ultimate store of value. The dollar took 200 years to evolve into the world's reserve currency, but it's being rapidly devalued over time. Bitcoin took just 2 years to invent, and in 15 years, it's already challenging the system that took centuries to build. The best part about Bitcoin is you can hold all of it in a hardware wallet like this one. This is from Trezor. You can get it at trezor.io or the affiliate link down in the show notes below and get yourself a Trezor hardware wallet. I have the Safe 5 Bitcoin only edition, and if you use promo code GreenCandle5, you'll get 5% off. Then head on over to cryptosteel.com/greencandle and you can get the easiest metal backup in the game, where you'll need no hammer, and you can get 10% off with promo code GreenCandle. So here's the evolution. Gold was nature's money. The dollar is the government's government's money. Bitcoin is the people's money. The real question is, which one will dominate over the next 100 years? History shows us that money isn't just about wealth. It's about power, trust, and survival. And for the first time ever, we as individuals get to choose which system we get to participate in. So the choice is yours. Do you want money that took 2,000 years to prove itself? Money that took 200 years to be manipulated? Or money that took 2 years to create and could change the world forever? If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button for more content like this, and comment below your opinions on the money system as it is